Hey everyone, welcome to the Modern Merchant Podcast. I'm your host, Travis Merrier. Today we've got Casey McMullen, the president of the Oryx Outdoor Group. Casey, thanks for being here, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate the invite, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, we've been working together for a while now, and I know you've got some deep knowledge in the outdoors industry, so want to get you on the podcast to kind of share some of that knowledge. So if you can for us, just give us a quick overview of Oryx Outdoor Group and kind of what you guys do.
Absolutely. Oryx Outdoor Group, quite simply, we build digital commerce experience and solve e-commerce issues for clients in the shot space. So shooting, hunting, outdooring, tactical. We work exclusively with shot brands.
Gotcha. When you say shot brands, I've never heard that kind of like that overarching term. So it's basically tactical.
And prior to this year's SHOT Show back at the end of January, I hadn't heard it either. We've always called it the 2A/outdoor industry, that sort of thing. But the new lingo, and I didn't get the email either, Travis. It's okay. The new lingo is we call it SHOT, the shot industry. So and it encompasses, like I said, shooting, hunting, outdoor, and tactical.
Dropping knowledge on us already. I'm learning stuff.
I know, right?
First 5 minutes.
Right out of the gate.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, yeah. So love to learn about your primary customer. It sounds like we just kind of talked about it's shop brands.
Yep.
Can you talk about a little bit? Because I know you've been in the web design marketing agency realm for a while. How did you get to this point? What kind of led you to serving this customer, this industry?
That's a great question. So for 10 years prior, we focused primarily in B2B, working with mid-market enterprise clients from telecom, cybersecurity, managed service providers, that sort of thing. However, I always got really excited whenever we had an opportunity to work with an outdoor-based client, just because that's my personal interest. And so a few years ago, a mid-market firearm manufacturer came to us with some severe web issues and e-commerce challenges, and we were able to jump in, and it was our first time working specifically in that industry, and it was a heck of a learning curve, but it was also probably more fun than any telecom project I'd work on in the previous decade. And it was actually because of that and some referrals that begat that, we decided to niche specifically and exclusively into that space. And over the last few years, we have really positioned ourselves, because we did jump in neck deep into it, and we immediately had to take on the regulatory issues, the compliance concerns, all the various restrictions, as well as the unique buyer personas, demographics, and those all those different things that encompass the shot industry. And so that's where we feel that we're uniquely positioned to serve clients in that space specifically.
Yeah, there's so much complexity in it. We just talked to one of our customers in the shot space yesterday, actually, on the podcast. That will be coming out around the same time as yours, so it'll be interesting to see them. But we talked at length at the technical complexities and compliance complexities that show up in the space. So this is one of those industries where you can focus solely on this industry and add a lot of value, and focus on the industry makes a lot of sense. Looking at your site, you do a great job of really outlining your expertise in this industry. But I'm curious, how do you differentiate when we look at Oryx Outdoor Group versus another agency, if you will, or a consulting company, or even just a single consultant in this space? How do you differentiate? Why would someone kind of look to work with you guys versus another that's in a similar kind of fashion?
No, absolutely. I would say primarily because we are one of the only agencies that's all we do. We live, eat, sleep, and work 2A and outdoor. That's it. And so that allows us, we're having conversations. Like I was on the phone with our regional ATF office yesterday, getting clarification on some specific rules under the NFA division that will, because we're actively engaged in developing solutions and tools to aid merchants, both online and offline, so that they can be within compliance. And I find that our focus really is a big differentiator. Traditionally, the 2A market, the shop brands, have been underserved, especially when we lean more toward the shooting and tactical side. They've been underserved because traditional agencies can sometimes, I won't say they shy away, but there might be some unique challenges that they're not ready to really onboard, right? So they might avoid that, and not for necessarily from an agency side, but also from a merchant side. There hasn't been a lot of focus on small to mid-market merchants in the 2A space. Plenty of options when you get to enterprise, right? But not everybody is Sig Sauer. Not everybody is, Smith & Wesson. And so where we wanted to jump in was to, that's where we saw that gap in competent, capable, enterprise-grade assistance and solutions made available and tailored to small and mid-market merchants.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I mean, not only do you have that background in the security, like cloud security and just the technical aspect, and you've got the design side that you can tell with your site and your team kind of backing you there, but you've got that deep firearms shot industry knowledge, right? Like, I mean, you're not just a web design company, you're not just a marketing company. It sounds like you go deep into helping with compliance and things like that. And I know we're gonna get into some really interesting stuff here towards the end about the regulatory side and different interesting things you're doing on the web design side. But that makes complete sense. And when it comes to implementing solutions for your clients, web design is one, overall consulting is another. Like, what kind of technology are you implementing? What's kind of your go-to? I know in an agency you might be pulled in different directions of like, hey, I've already picked out a platform, or I want to use this. But I'm curious if you kind of come with some best practices in like a pre-built stack that you say, you want to get online, you want to do e-commerce in this space, here's how you do it. I'm curious how you kind of approach that.
Yeah, you're right, Travis. And we typically tailor our approach to the client-specific needs. So no two clients are alike in outcomes. In this the stack that we select. However, we have, if I could twist your question a little bit into what would be the perfect stack. Like, let's say somebody came with no baggage, right? And just a clean slate. And they were, and of course they met the criteria and everything and the parameters for it to make business sense for them. But where I like to see a business stack for, let's say a manufacturer, would be a big commerce enterprise build with B2B edition, so that we can handle the B2C side, and we can also handle so we have direct to consumer, and we can handle B2B with dealer portals, that sort of thing. If they are also working with dropship, EDI with any merchant, stocking dealers, anything like that, I like to see a strong solution like Flxpoint in place to offload some of those capabilities that maybe big commerce wasn't built for. Now, when we get into an organization that's large enough and they're ready for ERP, maybe they're not using an IMS, or maybe they have like a Fishbowl or a Job Boss, inventory management system, and they need a way to bring all these disparate systems together. We're fans of Acumatica from a cloud-based ERP solution. However, I'm not one to just pull the trigger on ERP right out of the gate. I know some agencies lean toward that as a hub. I tend to lean away from that as a hub. It really just depends on unique business needs. And then from an OMS and main connector standpoint, I really like Flxpoint's capabilities. We have more experience with enterprise. I know Flxpoint Lite's coming on board, and we're actually just about to start our first true project with that here soon. I'm excited to see how the implementation goes, but all of our sandbox and all of our conversations have all been really promising, especially for those smaller organizations that have a simpler need set. And then as far as from a fulfillment and shipping solution, ShipStation is kind of the 800-pound gorilla that we see a lot. We like it because it plays nicely with others. So that would be kind of an intro stack that I would see. And then from an email marketing standpoint, we're huge Klaviyo fans. We're Klaviyo partners. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a more powerful email marketing or marketing automation platform than them out of the gate. So that's kind of our ideal stack.
Yeah, that kind of covers a lot of the gamut. I know you've got some experience with Feedonomics as well, looking at your site, and that would be kind of like the multi-marketplace listing kind of side if they're really heavy.
If we're getting into omni-channel and we need strong multi-platform listing management, that's a great tool. Usually, I don't see. I'm going to be real candid. Usually, with our smaller clients that are not, and again, when we're working firearms, we're kind of limited on our omni-channel options, and for those, quite frankly, that's another point to Flxpoint, because for our clients in that space, we can just connect them directly with Flxpoint. We don't need to add another tool, and our listing management is relatively simple at that scale.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and we do have that kind of multi-channel management side, and we have what don't make this claim a lot, but the best gun broker integration out there, and that's not really a lot of other people are going to support that. There's not many really at all, but yeah,
can confirm.
What's that?
I was going to say, can confirm. We just finished one. We're about to start another gun broker integration.
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha.
Here in another week or two, we'll be starting another gun broker integration. And now, on the gun broker side, they don't make it the easiest, but Flxpoint has bridged a lot of those gaps for us.
Well, yeah, it's a good thing. Like we've been working a lot with those guys recently. We met them out at SHOT Show. Great team, honestly. Willing to kind of work with us on opening up new endpoints and things like that. And we hear that a lot, right? It's tough to get things up to Gunbroker because the same reason it's tough to get things up to Amazon. They want it in a good structured catalog. They want to make sure that it's a good listing to the end consumer, right? That's what drives the business. I think categorization is typically the pain point a lot of people see, and like mass uploading a lot of products and getting the categories right. We're working with them on a special project right now to make that a lot easier. So I think everyone's sentiment is very similar, but the good part is their team is fantastic over there, and there's things to come that will make that a lot easier. That hopefully that we know.
That's encouraging to hear. Yeah, that's really encouraging to hear, and you're absolutely right. It's that their numerical catalog or category system is a head scratcher to a lot that we've. It's just another item on our punch list when we're doing one of those integrations. But yeah, that's been a holdup in the past. So I'm interested to see how you guys solve for that. Another one I know we'd like to see is a guns.com integration. Yeah. Even if we're just able to feed, that UPC and pricing data in to meet their, and I know guns.com doesn't allow for drop ship, but for any of our inventory, any of our dealers and stuff that are actually maintaining warehouse inventory, being able to tie into them. In fact, we've got a client, a new client that is pretty big in guns.com space. I think they're in the top 5.
Okay.
And we're working.
That's good to know.
We're working with you on that one too.
Are you? Because I know we just got done scoping that out. We've got it scoped, ready to go. As soon as we want, we can pull the trigger on that. So we can talk off air on that one a little bit more. But
no, absolutely. That's one I think would be a good one for us. Anyways, I didn't mean to derail us too much. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that's helpful. I mean, I think you gave us a good idea of the company and kind of your focus there. This is typically where we switch into what brought you to Flxpoint. We're working on a couple different mutual customers right now. Curious on if you remember how you found us or
Absolutely.
just kind of what brought you to us. Yeah.
So year and a half ago, we were scoping a project for a new client. We were scoping a build, and they had a multiple distributors that they needed to integrate in, and so we went out searching, and what we came across, of course, there was enterprise solutions and enterprise offerings out there that just didn't meet this customer's needs. They were a little too small for that at the time. And unfortunately, the only thing at their disposal then was, gear fire. And that really wasn't going to meet their needs. And so that's where we came across Flxpoint. And we looked at like Sin 7. We looked at SPS. But again, none of them really fit the needs for that client because they need to remain small, agile, more nimble. And that's where Flxpoint fit the bill for them. And so that's how we came across Flxpoint. We met with the team there, and it just started making a lot more sense to us. They were able to help us connect a lot more dots.
Awesome. And as far as how you're leveraging the platform, you'll have to remind me. It might vary depending on the client, but are you guys leveraging the full inventory listing, publishing, integration piece, and the order routing, or just portions of it? Curious how you guys are using it.
Yes and no, and then yes and I'll say. We are running like our standard, distributors, your RSR, your Lifties, your Davidsons, Chattanooga, all those. We're running those in. We're also running, they're also a manufacturer. They're also a manufacturer, and they do keep inventory, right? So we have kind of their a POS feeding into it, as well as an inventory source from a warehouse. We're manufacturing almost like a manufacturer on demand, a mod, if you will. Yeah. And so there's multiple sources there. In addition, and this is where I think Flxpoint gets really cool. They partnered with another e-tailer to push some of their products onto the site. The e-tailer wasn't set up for drop ship or anything like that. We were able to take that e-tailer's Shopify site and turn it into a distributor warehouse through Flxpoint. And we were able to route the orders through Flxpoint, build the products and product listings, push them out to our clients' channels, and then route the orders back to that other e-tailer's ship station, all automated. And that was really impressive to be able to do that. Normally that would have been a 6-figure build, and we were able to do that within a couple of weeks and some couple of conversations with that e-tailer's e-commerce team. Additionally, I'm really excited for that same client. They've actually just decided, they've been approached by several larger retailers for their manufactured goods. And so they, of course, came to us and they said, we want to offer a drop ship program. We don't have any web service for that. I said, yes, we do. And so we're actually going to be able to spin up another channel on Flxpoint and basically create an FTP web service that will enable a dropship program for this small manufacturer that otherwise wouldn't have been able to handle that kind of infrastructure on their own. So
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
I love to hear the supplier side.
It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, we've always, I've talked about this in past episodes, but we've always solved right out the gate the dealer side, right? Like that's a lot of the values in those distributors. But we built Flxpoint with the idea that it should support the supplier as well, and so we get the whole flywheel going. And I love to hear when they're using it to enable a dropship program, right? Because we're bullish on the future of suppliers. With this whole D2C movement, and a lot of the manufacturers and smaller suppliers, selling directly online, they should be capable from a shipping perspective to dropship, right? Because they're already selling direct to consumer in a lot of cases. That all they need is the technology and the program to figure out how to enable a dropship retail network. So love to hear that. Love to hear that setup. Yep. Awesome. Well, cool. So that's what we're bullish on in the industry and in the future of e-commerce in general. We talked a little bit before this, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about that first project we were talking about, the 3D modeling project. I know you've got a couple cool things going on that our audience would love to hear about.
No, absolutely. So, like you said, you're bullish. You're bullish. We're bullish on visual commerce And two areas that I'm really excited about: visual commerce, which I'll explain in a moment, and the second is streamlining compliance hiccups and roadblocks, like we talked about earlier. So the first one, visual commerce. So we have seen a huge increase in interest in 3D modelings and more engaging and interactive shopping experiences in the e-commerce world. And so we're actually working with, we're starting to work a lot more with 3D models that are interactive, meaning, you can change colors, you can, swap out parts, you can do fully configurable mods and all this kind of thing. All the while it's happening right in the PDP, right on the product page in real time, and it's building that cart, right? It's building that total, pulling from SKUs and variants and modifiers on the back end. And actually, when they click add to cart, it's got an amount, it's got a list of SKUs, almost a BOM, right? And they can shop there. In addition, there's some social interactions that I'm excited to see as well, where if you say build a cart, save for later, now we're capturing email and we can communicate with them down the road, almost on an abandoned cart recovery sequence or journey. And then in addition, we have those shared socials. It's like, check out what I just built at, blankblankarms.com. And then it's including our hashtags and all that kind of stuff. So we're kind of threading that into everywhere. So we're seeing that, and that has an impact across a metric impact on performance. We're seeing increases in average order value. We're seeing increases in conversion. We're seeing decreases in return rates, or decreases in support chats and that sort of thing, because people are able to answer their questions. The other really cool thing is AR, the augmented reality, right? Being able to pull up that item in your space. Is that cooler going to fit in the back of my truck? Well, let's look. And you can just hold your phone up right there and see, because it's all, in real spatial 3D. So I'm excited about that.
That's a great way to bring AR into the tactical hunting and shooting industry, right? Like the cooler in the back of the truck. That's a great example. That's like a perfect example.
We're working on one right now for a cooler manufacturer that was actually the use case that they were like, I said, what do people complain about, or what do you get a lot of service calls? And they're like, they're wondering if the cooler is going to fit in their truck. They're wondering if this item is going to work here. I said, what if we do this? And we're excited. So we're excited. We haven't launched it yet. We're building it now. But I'm excited to see the return on that. All of our other data and all of our other experiences with that have shown great improvements in those line items on performance. So the other thing I'm interested in is so anybody in this space knows that suppressor sales have just gone insane in the last 5 years. I mean, it's just meteoric rise in silencer sales. And to date, there are no viable solutions to handle even something as simple as selecting an SOT to be able to transfer that suppressor to. Like if you go online and buy it, the only options out there are home-built SOT lists, because we're finding
SOT, just for those who don't know. SOT.
Yeah, SOT. Yeah, I'll clarify. So an FFL is a federally licensed firearm dealer, right? You got to have an FFL to do it, to transfer in or sell any firearms. If you're going to deal with NFA items, right, or National Firearm Act items, and that's select fire, suppressors, short barrel rifles, that kind of thing, you need an additional designation called an SOT, or special occupation tax. The only issue is there's no customer or public facing database that lists SOTs like there is for FFLs. And so it's very challenging to connect the dots on that, so that when you go to a checkout experience and you're purchasing a silencer, where you can have it drop down to show the SOTs in your area. There's nothing like that. And so we're working with ATF and compliance officers at some different manufacturers and another couple of agencies to find solutions for that we can implement for merchants on a large scale. So my goal is to make that easier for merchants to be able to offer that to their customers and streamline that process.
Well, that's just a great example of what we were talking about earlier. Doubling down in the industry, getting that deep, that's the kind of level of service that you're able to provide because of that focus. And why we've seen it be so beneficial to us as well, and just focusing on it, because it's just an onion and it changes every single year. Like you're kind of saying, so prices are up and it's tough to deal with those when it comes to online sales. So awesome stuff, man. This is super interesting. I'm sure we could go on forever. Maybe we'll do like a full, the technical complexities of firearms with you, maybe as a follow-up. But no, this is great. Anything else, Casey, while we're here? Anything we didn't touch on you think might be valuable?
Oh, so much. But like you said, we have to be grown-ups and get back to work at some point.
Yeah,
so
fair enough. I like it. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Absolutely. It's Oryx, Oryx Outdoorgroup.com. Check Casey out, and thanks again, Casey.
All right, Travis. Appreciate it. It's always fun to talk. Take care.